Hello everyone, welcome back. Here I am with the Tiger One late. I put on all the little tools and other little pieces on it. Some of the eagle eyes of you might notice that the top turret here, the coloring pattern is a little bit different from the last video clip. Reason being, I wanted to put on the decals, and these are old. This is copyright 2006, and they just totally broke apart when I tried to apply them. Just totally fell apart, and so these are no good. I even tried putting on the cross, and you can see that it's all wonky, broken there. So unfortunately, I won't be able to use these decals. But I did try to salvage them. I had some of this liquid decal film that's supposed to help restore old decals. So I did brush it on, but unfortunately, I had this open, left it on the table, knocked it over, and it spilled on the turret that I was putting the decals on. Ruining the paint. The paint just started to bubble up and just fall right off. So I had wound up having to totally clean it, wash it off, strip off the paint, and repaint the turret. So just be careful. Anything open on your table, make sure you close it, put it far away, or put it somehow that you won't be able to knock it down. So just be very careful. Now, what to do about the decals, the decals, since I don't have those. Unfortunately, I haven't done many armor kits. I haven't built up a supply of leftover decals from other projects. So I looked online. I'm trying to see if I can just get a sheet of decals. But I did come across a picture, if you can see this, of the actual tank. Here, let me just think back. So this is the actual 211 tank from Normandy that I was modeling. And I see they have all the tree branches and stuff to part of the camouflage. And also the oil tank there in the back. As you can see with the oil tank there in the back, you can barely see the back number, and with the branches and stuff, you can barely see the front turret number. So I think that's what I'm going to do for the file for this. I'm going to set it up in a little, not diagram, but a little vignette, doing a little bit of a camouflage like that to hide the fact that I don't have the decals for that. Now, for the rest of the weathering here, I just started off here on this side doing a little bit of panel wash. To me, a panel wash along the road wheels and here along the side here. And so this is the panel wash, and you can see that glare there, versus the other side, which is clean. I don't know how well the camera can pick it. It's very subtle, but it's just one layer of weathering. The other thing that I started doing is a little bit of chipping. And basically, I'm just taking this old brush here, taking the little cup here, put a little bit of dab of paint there, dab it in there, wipe up most of it, and just very lightly, if you can see here, just put on some chips here along the along here on the side. And again, this is just at this side versus the other side, which I have not. And on this scale, I'm just going to do it very subtly. I'm not going to do any major weathering on this particular tank. This scale, 1/48 scale, a millimeter would probably be like what, about 2 inches or so, 48 millimeters, 2 inches in size. So really don't need that big much weathering at this stage of the game of the war. Normally, I don't think so anyway. So I'll put some scratches and other chips throughout. The other thing that I did here, if you can see here, let me just take out the turret. For the rust effects, for the spur tracks, that's before, and this is after a little bit of a rusty effect. And basically all I did was I take some pledge clear that I have, some old pledge clear that I have, took some layer of pigments, rust pigments, such as this. I got them in this little kit here. It comes with all these colors. Let me turn this around. Comes with all these shades here, and I use that, mix it up. Again, I just use the back of this in a little cup, and with a smaller brush, I literally just carefully paint it onto the areas and let it dry. Gives me that little bit of a rust effect. I did the same thing here with the exhaust back here. As you can see, that rust effect that you get. For this, I mixed up a couple of different pigments, or the pledge clear, and just painted it on to give me that effect there. so you can see that. Alright, so that's where I am with the tank. So I'm going to proceed with the rest of what I just mentioned, and then I'll come back and show you my next step. Alright, thank you. Hello and welcome back. Here I am doing some weathering on the Tiger 1. I did a little bit of experimenting here on the bottom of the tank, which is usually a good place to experiment on. Typically you don't see the bottom of it. I don't know why you can see that. A little bit of texture there, a little dirty, muddy, dried mud texture. Basically all I'm doing here is I'm just creating a little mishmash of different textures here. This is a ground up leaf, a little bit of small static grass, and a little bit of pigments, and I'm just going to add in a little bit of the AK earth effects with a little bit of the dust effects, lighten up a little bit, and that's what I applied down here. And I'm going to do that to the here under by the wheels. So just make sure you shake all this stuff real good. AK recommends using that little plaster product to get you the more muddy effect, but for this I'm just going to use a little bit of this and use some of that other aggregate that I have created from dried leaves, ground up dried leaves, and pigment, and a little bit of static grass, and a little bit of that. And it's always a good idea, any type of these screw-on bottles, once to wipe off the threads here before you close it up. Makes everything easier later to open it up with some mess. And just take all this and just create a little bit of a texture putty, you can see there. And if it looks like it's a little too dry, just add a little bit more. I know this is quite not by the book, but yeah, it's good to experiment now and then. Just mix it up, make my own little dirt paste here, so to speak, and just applying it here underneath on the tank. So I'm going to be doing this before I put on the tracks. I don't know while the camera can see. Putting this on here, and I'm just using this old brush, a little bit of a stippling action here, as opposed to brushing on action. Okay, this is actually a little hard doing it with the camera right in front of me, but I think you get the idea of where I am going with this. And you can see some of that effect there. And I'll do the same thing on the other side, let that dry, and come back for the next step. Hello and welcome back. I'm just back here. I moved out a little bit more additional work besides the weathering. I put on the tracks, as you can see, and I just put a little bit more mud, more dirt, dust here in the track in the little hole, as well as put on the last couple of pieces there, the machine gun that you see there. I tacked on the little gas tank there in the back. So my next step and final step of this, just to finish it off, is putting some of that camouflage tree limbs that I saw in the image I showed you earlier. Since I don't have any decals for this, just to kind of cover it up. And here are some of the little branches with leaves that I created, and I am just going to place these around in certain areas. And just to briefly go over how I created these are made from seafoam, those seafoam trees branches that you see here. Just color them a little bit, so this is how they kind of come out of the box. Added a little bit of color to the trunk too, some of the leaves there, and then I use a little bit of but these are, let me get this in camera, bushes, light green, which come like this, what you see here. And I just crumple it up a little bit more and apply it with a little bit of light glue, just regular white glue, diluted. I dip this in, and then I just put on the little green there, so it gives the impression of leaves, and then they'll just be placed or attached around, as you see, like that. So anyway, so let me do that and I'll be right back. Hello and welcome back, and here's my final on the AFV Club Tiger 1 final version. Here I am. I already applied the the camouflage, as I had mentioned. So I'm going to give you a little tour here. Actually, my first time putting this type of camouflage on a vehicle, so hopefully it didn't come out too bad. You can see I'm using some of the camouflage here to hide the fact that I don't have the decals here there on the turret. And then you got the fuel drum there in the back. Anyway, so overall, this kit, this AFV kit, as far as details and assembly, putting together, I think it's pretty good. I'll give it an A on both. The only issues that I really would have with the kit is how the wheels go together, that they're screwed in. I think poly caps would have been better. You do risk the possibility of breaking the plastic if you tighten up too much. As well as if they have poly caps, you can easily just put them on and off, and probably easier to assemble and paint the vehicle and the wheels and so forth. And the tracks, although they're rubber band, so they're really soft, they do glue well using super glue, so that's good. So some people may not would prefer some other types of track, but I mean, they work. Obviously I had to glue them down. I mean, you should see my fat finger. I did glue them down here on the wheels so you can get the droop. Otherwise, they would have just been straight across the top there. Anyway, so that's it. So would I recommend the kit? I mean, for the price that I paid, I think I paid less than $20 for the kit some years ago. I don't know what it costs now. But hey, it gave me a few weeks of entertainment, putting it together, painting and so forth. So yeah, it was worth it. It's nice, good, relatively inexpensive kit, and provided hours of joy and fun. So on that part, I enjoyed it. All right, so thank you all much for watching. Your comments on this past series of videos, and stay tuned for my next build on this series of 48 vehicles that I did the unboxing of over the past month and a half. All right, thank you all for watching. Have a good day.